Pragnanda. I read both words at the same time. Pragnananda and Ramesh Babu. I promise you, I'm fine. And there you go.
Wow. And
wow.
wow. Firstly, two very different positions even. The clock, though, going to play a huge factor. Caruana and Carlsen both down under 3 minutes. It's blitz now. They have just got their increment. They've just passed move 40, but Anna, blunder territory.
It is blunder territory, and with a time situation like this, what move did you say it is?
Move 42.
Oh, so there is increment, but the increment is only 10 seconds, which for a classical game is actually pretty short.
Wow. And actually, news on other boards. We will come back to this. Time scramble imminent between these two great players, world number 1 and 2, but I think we have to jump.
I think we have to. I know Fabiano Caruana, Magnus Carlsen.
Up to Vaishali whether she realizes that after f takes e6, suddenly she can play this for a win. And she was putting that much pressure on Pia. That's why Pia made a mistake. You don't just make a mistake because there's nothing going on. There was a lot of pressure already.
Yeah. Pia got impatient. She was defending well, but passively. In the end, she lashed out. She went for this race, and that's a tip for everyone at home. Rook endgames, keep your opponent's rook tied down in front of the pawn, to the side of the pawn. Never allow your opponent's rook behind, supporting a pawn. Rook endgame, yeah, I mean, they're so tricky, Danny.
So crazy, but we had to come back here because Hikaru is down to 22 seconds. And again, all the action is happening. We apologize if we're not covering the game you want us to see. Go to chess.com/events yourself. Magnus Carlsen going full Magnus. They say never go full Magnus, but when you're Magnus, you go full Magnus and you win games. And he is about to squeeze water out of the stone, pushing against Fabiano Caruana. I don't know what kind of realistic winning chances he has, but as you said, he's going to push. But Hikaru has taken a long time to get the move that is finally on the board. Rook to c4. Yes, he only has 22 seconds, but we've been talking about it for a while. We highlighted the idea when Alireza Firouzja was here. The moment those rooks are traded, the c5 pawn will fall. White can finally focus on the king side only, and he should win. So yes, he has 22 seconds, but Hikaru should still be in the driver's seat.
Yeah. It's definitely a long haul ahead for both players. Magnus, I mean, firstly, winning a pawn, huge progress. Secondly, I mean, he's going to be able to torture Fabi for the next 100 moves. And that game is guaranteed, I think, to go on for a long, long time. But Hikaru, he's found the right plan. Knights are short-range pieces. The white knight will eventually gravitate towards the king side on our right board there for Hikaru. Luckily, it's easy to play, Anna. The clock, not a decisive factor here.
Not a decisive factor, and thank goodness there's increment, because up to move 40 the players play with the starting time, and it's only from move 41 on that there's a bonus of 10 seconds per move. They are already on move 55, so they've been receiving that extra 10 seconds for a long time, and that's why Hikaru hasn't flagged. You need the increment to not lose on time. It's at such a late stage of the endgame. The rook trade has happened on c4, and now after rook b4, as we mentioned, the knight and pawn on c4 are hanging, but it's time for Hikaru to activate that knight and capture the c5 pawn, and the h4 pawn is not hanging. That's a big difference between the lines we showed earlier. Here it is just a trade of pawns, and Alireza said this 3 versus 2 is winning.
It's crazy how these top players like Alireza, they look at it for 1 second, they're like, yeah, it's winning. Whereas for most, even very strong grandmasters, you would say, okay, black's trading off pawns now, it's unclear, white's running out of material. But a good judgment call eventually from Nakamura. Boy, he wishes he had that 45 minutes back there.
I was going to say, but even though Alireza is a strong grandmaster, so is Hikaru, and he doesn't look like he knows it's over, that it's easily winning. But by the way, speaking of over, Vaishali Ramesh Babu has defeated Pia Kramling. The rook ending idea that we talked about was executed. A perfect bridge Lucena idea. And the youngest player in Norway Chess Women is the clear leader, and her lead is growing right now. What an impressive, mature, just a performance that is just crazy to talk about. Sometimes games like that are more impressive to win than ones that you dominate or that you win because of preparation, right? Those games are impressive and they turn heads, but when you grind a rook ending and you win a game you're not supposed to win, that's the stuff of legend. That's what Magnus does. That's what the best players do. They win games they're not supposed to win. So I know I'm talking about a game that's not on here, but I am just so impressed with Vaishali, and shout out to her for beating Pia Kramling. We'll talk about it a little more later.
Incredible performance by Vaishali, who continues her very good streak. She won the last 5 games at the Candidates just a month ago, and here she continues doing extremely well. She only drew 2 games, and the rest of them are win after win after win. Will her brother Pragnananda survive this game against Hikaru? I think one key factor that we should mention, that if the pawns disappear from this endgame in Hikaru's game, that's a draw.
Yeah.
Rook and knight versus rook is a draw. You can try to play on, you can try to trick your opponent, but that's a draw. So that's why it's a bit of a... Technically, you still need to be very precise, because you cannot allow the h4 pawn to be traded, even if you win the other 2 pawns of black for it.
Yeah, Hikaru, he needs to keep that pawn intact. Wow, he's getting up and away from his board with only 20 seconds left.
What is he doing?
Hopefully he's not going to
Okay,
the confessional.
I mean, talk about risky business. If Hikaru Nakamura ever visits the confessional booth with less than a minute on the clock, I will do something. So, one of his fans make a dare, and I will do it, and it'll get to Hikaru. But okay, Hikaru not messing around right now. He's playing instant chess.
Wow.
But go ahead, David.
Magnus is going for it.
Yeah, he is.
Only one move now for Fabi to stay in the game.
Only one move.
Otherwise, he's lost on the spot.
What is it?
He has to take black's pawn. Queen takes g7. It's maybe the most obvious move, but it's just the fact that the black king is walking in, and he has to judge it with less than 2 minutes left.
He's walking into e3 and threatening checkmate on d1. It's certainly something not so simple.
And by the way, he has under 2 minutes. Yes, Magnus only has a minute, but Fabi is under the gun here to calculate an only move to hold this position. I think Hikaru getting that knight to g3 is... Okay, he did indeed do it, and that is finally likely enough, because the h5 pawn will fall. Although, wait, it's not so simple. The rook will come back to a3 for Pragg after the king moves.
Yeah, and then there will always be tricks that you sacrifice on g3 once the rook takes on h5.
Okay, Fabiano does find it. The only move is played. Doesn't mean he's out of the woods, though. Magnus Carlsen is still pushing for the win here.
And only move territory again now after this last move. Checkmate is threatened, as Anna pointed out. Queen down to the first rank would end the game. So Fabi, only move? He has to run with his king to the corner.
No way.
No way.
That's the only move?
The blue arrow has appeared on
Rivals.
Oh, Fabi, just that instinct. It stopped him from making a losing mistake.
Almost did it.
26 seconds, though, and it's such a difficult move to just ignore everything and run with the king.
King g1 only move to not lose the game, and he's got 17 seconds to play it.
And he finds it.
Oh, you found it.
Clutch
What is that instinct that stops a chess player from making a train wreck of a move? I don't know, but I don't have it. Never did.
I don't have it
But he
either.
does. So Fabiano is still holding on against Magnus Carlsen. Finds the only move in the position. By the way, Hikaru Nakamura pushing on, gaining time on the clock as well. Still trying to grind out the victory versus Pragg. Shout out to Pragnananda with the defense, by the way. Regardless, he has been losing for a long time. And even if Hikaru gets this one, Pragg made him earn it.
Yeah, I thought he had to resign like an hour ago, but he's proving me very wrong that there is a lot to play for, and he's trying his best to defend. This is now after Queen h6 on the Caruana Carlsen game, still equal.
Oh my God.
But
Still
it's
terrifying.
terrifying with the
It's
pawn on
equal, but
e3.
forget you, Engine. I almost dropped a different F word, but that's like, this is so much harder for Fabiano right now than it is for everyone else. He's one move away from that eval bar, giving everybody a heart attack.
Yeah, he probably has to find only moves for the next 50 moves right now, Fabiano. He has to keep checking that black king. The black pawn, though, is so close to touchdown.
And if you check, the pawn will push. So, like, do you check on the second rank to force that the pawn is one square away from
That's
promotion?
The only move, Anna. Otherwise, it's
And he
mate in
only has
5.
10 seconds to find that
He
only
didn't.
move. He has to
He hasn't
find
played
it.
it.
If he
didn't play
doesn't,
it. He
he's
moved the
going to
king.
lose. He
He's
played.
getting checkmated.
Oh my
Fabiano
God.
Caruana
It's Queen
blew
D6.
it.
Queen D6 check, and it's checkmate.
Queen d6 is covered. The square's covered.
sorry.
Queen d6 is a Botus gambit.
Oh, yeah.
Don't.
No Botas Gambit. He plays E2.
Fabiano resigns.
And you hear the Norwegian
my
TV
God,
celebrating.
you hear the live crowds in the room. Fabiano Caruana resigns. Magnus Carlsen wins with